Here in Vietnam, people aren't struggling with poverty because they lack motivation or ability. They're struggling with poverty because they lack opportunity. Over the last 18 years, I and my staff in YWAM Vietnam have been working in poverty reduction and community development. And we believe we've developed a model that is both sustainable and replicable. We believe a community is changed through one person, one family, one relationship. But at the moment, most of the poverty that we see is still very easy fixed, and it's because of the hard-working nature of the Vietnamese. You give them an opportunity and they grab it with both hands and run with it. Everyone deserves opportunity.
Everyone deserves opportunity. That is the message of Rosalind Jackson and her organization YWAM Vietnam over the past, let's say, 2 decades. And in this episode of Expat Living, let's join Rosalind Jackson in her journey in changing the lives of the people here in Vietnam for the better. Rosalind Jackson from New Zealand has 15 years of experience working in a charity mission in Thailand for Youth with a Mission, or YWAM, a Swedes international non-governmental organization. After visiting a friend in Vietnam in 1993, when over half of the population lived below the poverty rate of less than $1.9 per day, Rosalind decided that this is the place she wanted to be.
So September 95, I moved to Vietnam. I guess that's where God called me to come. On my heart really is to help people in poverty. And so Vietnam seemed like a good place to come at that time, and it just felt right.
2 years later, in 1997, Rosalind established the Hanoi-based YWAM Vietnam as a locally run community development NGO with an aim of helping the poor coming out of poverty and living more abundant lives. From the first project in 1998, supplying seeds and fertilizers to one village, YWAM Vietnam is now running a number of successful projects in 3 districts in northern Hanoi and Bắc Giang province. All of the projects are now community-owned and run. Cát Thuê Village, Vân Côn Commune, Hoài Đức District, 20 kilometers from the center of Hanoi. In 2008, Hanoi expanded its administrative area to include Hoài Đức, while most of the agricultural land here was rezoned for industrial use. Families are no longer able to survive on traditional agricultural incomes alone. Nguyễn Sĩ Xuân struggled with farming. His family used to live below the poverty line. After Xuân and his wife joined YWAM's program for poverty reduction in Cát Thuê Village in 2011, things changed.
Trước vào dự án nói chung mình mỗi năm lại chót bao nhiêu đấy thì mình cũng ghi như thế. Chi tiêu bao nhiêu còn lại bao nhiêu đấy là ghi hết vào.
From YWAM training class, Xuân also learned how to rotate certain crops on less than a hectare of farming land and to purchase farm produce from his neighbors to sell in Hanoi central markets with higher prices for more profit.
Là làm thì cũng vất vả, cái thu nhập thì cũng được. Bà con nông dân thì thu nhập nói chung là ổn định. Cứ vào mùa thu hoạch thì nói chung là hai vợ chồng thì cũng thu nhập được hơn 100 triệu.
Vietnam's really moving very rapidly into a whole new space in terms of its economy, and we need to equip people to move with it. So being so close to Hanoi, they have lots of opportunities if they can just have the tools and the mindset really to make the most of those opportunities.
With its economic empowerment projects open to all families who are in poverty or near the poverty line, YWAM Vietnam has granted 1,253 microloans, with 99% microloans repaid and nearly 300 CalBank participants.
If we were just to give loans, actually it wouldn't change anything. And sometimes it's just led to more poverty because they don't know how to use it properly. So we try to bring a lot of training. And the loans are a bit of a draw card, but actually the training is way more important.
More than 1,000 local business owners and nearly 3,000 business leaders trained. More than 11,000 employees benefited. That is the result of YWAM Vietnam's business development projects established in 3 districts in the north of Vietnam for more than 10 years now. There is a situation. Many business owners have minimal business training as they were previously rice farmers who had lost their agricultural land due to increasing urbanization from around the year 2000. In 2009, YWAM Vietnam partnered with Sweets Create, a business consulting firm providing professional business development programs in several developing countries to help develop businesses in these localities. Training classes have been organized since then. Nguyễn Văn Xuân, co-owner of a garment export company in Hoài Đức district of Hanoi, is among the beneficiaries from YWAM's business development project. The previous garment company he owned was burned down by unexpected fire in 2014. He lost the whole property in a night. He then struggled to overcome the losses and re-establish his company today. Things have changed quickly at the company when Xuân began to apply what he learned from YWAM's training program.
Trước kia thì mình làm theo mình làm việc như theo cái cảm tính của mình là mình cứ làm là làm thôi. Thế nhưng mà mình không có một cái định hướng hoặc là mình không sắp xếp thời gian làm việc nó không khoa học. Thì cảm thấy là mình rất vất vả, thế nhưng mà hiệu quả nó cũng không cao. Sau khi học về tôi cũng áp dụng được rất nhiều vấn đề mà trong cái kiến thức đi học về thì nói chung là để cho công ty thì giờ cảm thấy là mình cũng rất là thanh thản. Mình cứ giao nhiệm vụ, giao quyền cho mọi người quản lý thay mình, rồi mình làm việc các thứ thì mình cũng có cái dỗi thời gian hoặc là mình cũng có thời gian để mình làm việc khác.
His company now has about 200 workers who are all locals living in Hoài Đức and the neighboring district of Quốc Oai. Each year, his company produces and exports about 300,000 garment products to Germany, the United States, and South Korea.
Dự án của em của Thụy Sĩ thì nói chung là cũng giúp rất nhiều cho các cái anh em doanh nhân trong những nghiệp vừa và nhỏ của Hoài Đức. Đấy, như vừa rồi lớp 10 của em tôi cũng học xong rồi thì hôm vừa rồi cũng lại lớp họp lần thứ nhất để có thể là trao đổi rồi là quan hệ sẽ tạo điều kiện với nhau để cùng nhau phát triển kinh tế trong huyện.
YWAM Vietnam's training classes over the years have seen many local businesses recover from previous bad debt and bankruptcy.
I think has just been incredibly successful to see some of these businesses really change so that the working conditions for the workers has improved tremendously. Safety conditions have improved tremendously. They are ready, getting ready for kind of the next phase of Vietnam where there's much more industrialization, where there's much more competition from neighboring countries as well.
Cát Quế B Primary School in Cát Quế Common, Hoài Đức District, 20 kilometers from the center of Hanoi. More than 7 years ago, Rosalind Jackson made several visits to the school to prepare for YWAM's first library project. With the $2,300 loan granted by YWAM Vietnam in 2010, the teachers were able to buy new education books and picture books, replacing the old-style textbooks, encouraging their students to read more often.
Sau 7 năm thì bọn mình tập trung nhiều vào mua thêm sách và trang trí thư viện cho đẹp hơn để hấp dẫn thêm, và các hoạt động khuyến đọc cũng được dần dần được cải tiến. Sau này chúng mình đã có những hoạt động hơn là ví dụ như là tổ chức ngày hội đọc sách, rồi hội thi đọc, và có cả những cái tiết đọc hấp dẫn hơn và giữa cô với trò tương tác nhiều hơn.
Gateway B Primary School's 562 pupils have all benefited from this library.
Con thấy thư viện của trường con rất đẹp. Vào trong thư viện thì con được đọc những cuốn truyện hay và bổ ích, được chơi những trò chơi và được nghe kể chuyện trên mạng. Nhưng mà con thích nhất là đọc sách.
Ai chọn truyện hay là mượn truyện thì được vào lúc nào cũng được ạ. Ở đây thì có nhiều truyện tiếng Anh, nước ngoài cổ tích. Nhưng con chưa nói được tiếng Anh nhiều nhưng mà có nhiều hình ảnh thú vị. Con rất là thích chuyện đó.
Do you like to read? I think our book input was 700 books, but now they have 7,000 books in that library. Our project was like a seed that was started in that area and it's been flourishing. And that project is not just successful for them, but as an example, and many other schools come to learn from their experience. So, wow, that's amazing.
Rosalind Jackson and YWAM Vietnam are not alone in their community development mission. The organization has strategic relationships with the larger YWAM network worldwide and other international organizations in terms of fundraising and donations for its projects. In April 2017, YWAM Vietnam cooperated with the German Embassy in Hanoi to organize a fundraising event to support Phu Châu Children's Home in Ba Vì District, one of the 3 community-based children's homes being financed by YWAM Vietnam since 2000. Phu Châu Home is a shelter for children who are orphans or vulnerable to domestic violence or child abuse. However, the home now has water damage to the walls and floors and has only 2 toilets for 26 children. This event is the continuous support from the German Embassy after the previous renovation for Tan Viên Children's Home in Tan Linh Commune, Ba Vì District by the end of 2016. A ceremony to launch the newly renovated children's home worth $25,100 was held in May 2017.
So last year we were able to renovate one home, and they decided that this year that they wanted to take on that responsibility of raising funds to renovate the second home. We need partnership, and so this partnership's been wonderful for us.
In order to upgrade Phu Châu Children's Home, $21,500 is needed to cover all the work. And it is also the goal of this fundraising event at the German Embassy in Hanoi.
The German Embassy in Hanoi, or even the German embassies worldwide, they have a small-scale project fund. And with this fund we can support local NGOs, local activities like the children's home. We cooperate with a lot of German companies who gave us some prizes, and of course everything is going to charity. Like everybody donated, and the money will go directly to the kids.
This coupon is just 25,000 Vietnamese dong, or just $1 US. It might be a small amount of money for you, but it can help give the child an opportunity. It can help them opportunity to go to school, to buy a new book, a new pair of shoes, access to clean water, or even go to watch the first movie of their life. And here at this fundraising event, there is a lot more activities that you can do to help the children in need.
The German Embassy and YWAM Vietnam have brought children from Phu Châu home in Ba Vì here to join in today's event.
Lần đầu tiên con đến Hà Nội, con thấy rất vui và vì ở đây có nhiều người xe cộ và khi con vào đại sứ quán con thấy rất là nhiều người yêu thương con còn được thưởng thức những món ăn ngon và được nghe những bài hát rất hay.
All of the children here have never been to Hanoi before, nor been on stage like these.
Cháu tập bài bóng 5 ngan trong 5 ngày, cháu lên sân khấu rất là run.
Đây là lần đầu tiên cho lên thì đó là sự nhắc nhở nhau, giúp nhau rất nhiều trong những bước nhảy đầu tiên.
We're going to make it a fun day for them, and after this they're going to go to the movies, and it's going to be quite an outing for them all. So we're really excited about that, and I'm sure they're really looking forward to that.
Chị Roslyn thì là một người phụ nữ rất là đáng ngưỡng mộ bởi vì chị đã toàn tâm toàn ý cho cái sự phát triển, cho cái sự nghiệp phát triển của Việt Nam, cho những người yếu thế, những người có hoàn cảnh khó khăn của Việt Nam.
Chị Roslyn Jackson là một người là mình tâm phục và khẩu phục ấy. Chị hy sinh toàn bộ về đời sống cá nhân để phục vụ cho một cái mục đích từ thiện này.
Chị Roslyn gần như là một cái người mẹ lớn cho tất cả mọi người trong cơ quan.
Chị luôn tạo cho nhân viên của mình một cái môi trường làm việc rất là thoải mái, được mọi người được tự do sáng tạo cũng như là cống hiến hết mình cho những cái hoạt động mà mình đang theo đuổi.
Thế nên là bao nhiêu năm nay là bọn mình vẫn cứ làm gắn bó rồi cùng chị vượt qua những cái lúc mà kể cả những lúc mà tổ chức mình cũng khó khăn đấy.
Không chỉ mình, các cái anh chị đi trước cũng thế, cũng vì là yêu thích công việc, một phần cũng là vì là cái môi trường làm việc cũng như là cái tình cảm của người sếp dành cho mình, nên là mình cũng muốn gắn bó với cả cái công việc của mình.
22 years living in Vietnam, all alone, far away from her family in New Zealand. Anyone would raise the question, what has kept Rosalind Jackson here in Vietnam over the years?
It's just that character in the Vietnamese that I see that is so great to be living here and working here. Yeah, I have lots of wonderful Vietnamese friends, of course, and so I feel very much at home here.
Tháng nay là bao nhiêu tiền? 6.000 hả? Xong 10 hả? Và lạ bao nhiêu tiền? 6.000 một lạ.
So when I first came, you know, it was very hard to make phone calls. Letters would take at least 2 or 3 weeks each way. So life was tough, you know. And since then, you know, we have Skype. My family is very close to me and they were all really behind me and supporting what I do.
Outside of her work, this is where Rosalind wants to spend her spare time. an old coffee shop at the dead end of an alley, which is even unpopular to many locals.
It reminds me very much of those early days in Vietnam and how things were. You know, the buildings were just whitewashed and often peeling paint and so on. When I go down there, it just takes me back in time and I really enjoy it.
First came to Vietnam in 1993 when the country's poverty rate was very high at 58%. Rosalind Jackson has witnessed a tremendous change of the country over the last 2 decades into a middle-income country.
There's a joy in doing the work, and I feel very, very privileged, to tell you the truth, to be able to do something where I see lives being changed. I think my life is very rich. It's rich in friends and rich in family, and I just feel very blessed.
So we've been through many life-changing stories of people here in Vietnam with the help of Rosalind Jackson and her organization YWAM Vietnam. And now, as always, is VTV reporter Michael Liu and our segment of Time Out.
One of the integral components of traditional Vietnamese culture, it's its medicine. And here in Ho Chi Minh City, in the middle of this modern city, you can find a very, very special space where you can learn about the history, the ingenuity and the beauty of traditional Vietnamese medicine in this edition of Time Out. Our journey will not begin on the first floor, but the 4th floor. Why is this? Because traditional Vietnamese culture is all about worshipping and honoring the ancestors. And this is where we have the altar of the ancestors, the traditional Vietnamese medicine, and learn about their history too. These are the statues of Tuệ Tĩnh and Hải Thượng Lãn Ông. The altar is located on the top level to symbolize the highest order of importance in the history of Vietnamese medicine. Tuệ Tĩnh was a 14th century physician in the Trần dynasty. Hải Thượng Lãn Ông was an 18th century physician under Trịnh lords. However, they were only 2 among 100 royal physicians and Vietnamese traditional medicine authors from the 13th to the early 20th century. The room next door features handcrafted pictures of 15 most outstanding physicians of traditional Vietnamese medicine. Together, they all have compiled compendiums about the thousands of years of traditional medicine in the country. So what you can see right here is an archive of traditional Vietnamese medicine. What's special about them is they're written in the traditional Vietnamese language of Hannom, and they contain the secrets and the ingredients and the recipes of traditional Vietnamese medicine. So coming down to the 3rd floor, what you will encounter is one of these traditional style counters that was used for traditional Vietnamese medicine. Not only can you find traditional herbs used for Vietnamese medicine like this, you may also find some cool tools and equipment used by the traditional Vietnamese doctors. Or you get a an old school calculator used by the traditional medicinist as well. And you can also get a scale like that. Pretty cool, isn't it? The museum's second floor is home to a collection of 300 herbs used in Oriental medicine.
I like how all the medicinal things are also like ornamental as well, because in just the States it's just it has no cultural to it.
I am a pre-medical major, so I wanted to kind of see how the Southeast Asians treat disease rather than how the Westerners treat disease. Found that pretty interesting, that how specific the herb can get, for treating a specific disease even.
For as little as $2.50, visitors get to behold nearly 3,000 items relevant to traditional Vietnamese medicine dating back to the Stone Age. So you've seen the uniqueness and intricacy of traditional Vietnamese medicine in this episode of Time Out. Fortunately, the art is still preserved in books and in modern day traditional Vietnamese medicine like these. So why don't you come over and take a look yourselves and maybe buy some of them to show some support. Thanks for watching this edition of Time Out. Goodbye for now and until next time.
And that is the end of this episode of Expat Living. If you would like to provide feedback or comment on anything you see in our program, feel free to email to us at vtvinternational@vtv.vn. You can also log on to vtv4.vn or youtube.com/vtv4ego for more of our program. Thank you very much for being with us. This is Expat Living on VTV International.